Nestled within the Scioto Valley and the rolling hills of southern Ohio is Pike County. It's a place full of natural beauty, historic significance, and a population of proud and hard-working people. But not unlike other communities, Pike County has its problems. Businesses are closing. For almost an entire year, Pike has owned the highest unemployment rate in the entire state. Poverty.
We are seeing so many victims in our area due to the high poverty rate. We're seeing an increase in crime for our advocacy services.
And all these factors contribute to perhaps the biggest problem facing Pike County today: crime.
All of our service numbers have increased due to the crime rate in Pike County.
We've got a huge problem here, and I don't know why. I can't tell you why.
Hi, I'm Bradford Sherman from the Pike County News Watchman and PikeCountyDaily.com. In this short film, we'll take a look at the subject of crime in Pike County. We'll show you some clips of past stories that we've covered, and you'll hear from experts in their respective fields. I just returned from the Pike County Clerk of Court's office, where I inquired about the number of violent crimes committed within the past few years. And as you can see, the list that they supplied me with is quite extensive. There were 8 murders alone committed in Pike County within the past 5 years.
I've been doing this altogether since 1992. Actually, been on the job at 20 years, March 8th of 92, and it's got way worse. We went from when Neil Rosenberger, my first boss as prosecutor, around 120 felonies a year. We're up around 300 now. It just seems stuff has just got worse and worse and worse. Stuff years ago that would have just been a fight, somebody whipping out a knife or guns or something like that too. I'll give you a perfect example. That's State of Ohio versus Craig Stevens. That case is still pending, murder on that Easter Sunday.
And I'm here at the scene of a fatal shooting that occurred in Pike County on Sunday afternoon.
Yes, this happened yesterday at 2332 Buchanan Road, Waverly, Ohio. What appears to have happened is the victim and the defendant got into an argument over someone moving the victim's truck. It appears the defendant went inside the residence, retrieved a 12-gauge shotgun, shot the victim in the abdomen.
Yeah, that's something where a few years ago would have been a fist fight, and now you have somebody grabbing a gun and taking a life over it too. And not that I mean a gun or anything like that, but there's a lot more weapons and things like that. There's a lot more people, and just seeing people will go grab a weapon or hurt somebody.
So, in your opinion, of these things that lead into someone stabbing or someone shooting someone, what's the leading cause of these violent crimes in most cases? From what you've seen?
In my opinion, that and I'll address homicides first. Most of the time, it's drugs. It's over drugs. Somebody's either stolen somebody's drugs, wanting to rob somebody for drugs.
Michael H. Schaffner Jr. will spend at least the next 15 years behind bars after pleading guilty to the murder of Mallory Pettit Friday in the Pike County Court of Common Pleas. Schaffner stabbed and killed the 25-year-old Pettit with a steak knife on July 12th near the intersection of State Route 32 and Shyville Road. Pike County Prosecutor Rob Junk said the two had arranged a meeting for the purpose of conducting a drug transaction when the stabbing occurred.
He took the knife, stabbed her in the chest. The knife actually had come from a set that his girlfriend's mother had given his girlfriend. He had taken that steak knife with him there to the deal. For some reason, we feel he went there with the intent to do something to her. The thing is, he never had actually admitted what that.
But I think too, just it is a lack of respect for law enforcement, for the courts, for their fellow man, for everything too. Because years ago, you had double parent households. The kids are raised up as correctly as possible. Kids would be punished if they did something at school. And now, though, we don't have that anymore. And I can say that. My wife is a kindergarten teacher. My mom retired after 30 years as a junior high teacher as well. And I can tell you that respect for any type of authority has just taken a nosedive over the years.
3 arrested on drug charges. Waverly Police arrest pair and bust. Sheriff busts meth lab. There's hardly ever an edition of the Pike County News Watchman that doesn't have something about drugs in it.
While we were out in an eradication operation, we found roughly 22,000 plants valued at $22 million on the street value in the Grassy Fork and the Green Ridge areas, and it was one of the biggest busts we've had here in Pike County to date that I know of.
Why do you think that there are so many people around here that are drug users? Is it a matter of just there's nothing for them else to do, or are they kind of just depressed because of the poverty in the area in general?
That's a very good question. I think if I was ever able to completely answer that, I might win the Nobel Prize for sociology or something like that. It's a combination of things. A lot of it, though, I think is maybe upbringing and things like that. And I know what my parents pretty well beat into my brother and me as far as what they thought about people who use drugs, people who sell drugs, those type of things. A lot of it, though, too, is the lack of coping skills, too. And there's a little bit of maybe mental health issues as well. But you get a lot of these people that haven't had a real good upbringing, anything like that. They don't know how to cope, and they may pop a pill or go smoke some crystal meth or something like that to try and cope with it too. But a lot of it, though, is just a lack of self-control and a lack of self-discipline. Nobody puts a gun to your head to go make you take drugs too.
It's pretty easy to make the argument that drugs have led to many other crimes in our community. But there's been nothing that has gripped Pike County quite like the prescription drug epidemic.
For what this business is going to bring in here, we will need bars on our home.
We need bars on our homes right now in
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. We have home invasions daily, and they're killing people for pills in our county.
90% of the crime we have in our county is related to prescription drugs. And I wouldn't doubt if that wasn't the case in your county if you do some statistics. You're absolutely right about the drug pipeline. You're absolutely right about the pill mills that are next door to you. 9 of them last year, probably 8, I think now, presently. We call them pill mills, and that's what they are.
It is literally an epidemic. It is, as the prosecutor can tell you, or the sheriff can tell you, it wrecks families, it wrecks homes. You all have reported on that. But if you look at the crime that we have, I would say, what percent of cases do you think are somewhat related to drugs? Either they had to steal, or they're stealing to get money for drugs, or they're addicted, or both.
I would say off the cuff, Attorney General, on at least 2/3, if not higher. And if it's not simple possession of drugs, they're out breaking into people's houses, cars, stealing their property to fund their drug habits. And it is everywhere. It is everywhere.
Yeah, Sheriff, you're seeing the same thing.
Exactly the same thing. We're seeing increase in copper thefts, abandoned houses. We're seeing, the thefts are up, and it's all related back to this problem that the Attorney General's talking about.
People that they think taking a drug or popping a pill is the answer to their solution, the answer to their problems, and when they wake back up and the high wears off, their problems are still there.
We have not taught our young men, our sons and our grandsons and our nephews, how to treat the people they have relationships with, especially the women in their lives.
A lot of times we hear clients say, well, my friend or my mom, she tried to tell me that he was no good, and 5 years later I'm just now getting the courage to leave him because I didn't want people to say I told you so. Broken bones and black eyes are obvious, but a lot of people don't realize that there's economic abuse, there's mental abuse, there's sexual abuse in marriages, there's psychological abuse.
We've missed the mark because men, us, the men in our society have not mentored and coached our young men the way we need to. We have not convinced our young men that it is not appropriate to treat anybody like they're your property. It's not appropriate to abuse anybody emotionally or physically. It's certainly not appropriate to raise your hand to somebody because maybe you're mad at them.
I'm betting that there are probably more incidents of domestic violence that never even go reported.
Absolutely, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Within our culture, within Appalachia, it's embedded that you take care of your own kind of thing. Like, we don't involve outsiders. I don't need to call the law because I'll handle this. My brother will handle it. My dad will handle it. That's one of the barriers that we face too. And also, it's embarrassing. You have to drop your kids off at school with a black eye, and you already have to explain to the teacher how you got the black eye. You don't want to call the police or the sheriff's office because then your neighbors are going to know something's going on. A lot of times we have clients who have never been hit, have never been shoved, but they have more trauma to overcome than the ones who do have the broken bones and black eyes, because once you're told so many times that you're worthless and fat and ugly, it's hard to overcome that. So you do start believing that you're worthless, fat, and ugly, and no one's ever going to want you. And batterers do that so you won't leave, because once you leave, then they're on their own to run the household or take care of the kids and things like that. So it's not surprising that people don't report domestic violence.
You know, on a daily, at least weekly basis, we have crimes, committed against children. Any type of abuse that happens to children affects them, and of course some more than others, but it affects them, during their entire life to some extent. It affects mental health issues, socialization issues, behaviors. It runs the whole gamut of affecting children.
A 17-year-old juvenile remains in detention today
after being charged with felonious assault and endangering a child. Here's Pike County Prosecutor Rob Junk talking about the case.
Back on February 4th, the Pike County Sheriff's Office did an investigation with a baby whose face was burned from a salamander-type space heater. What that thing is, think of a miniature jet engine. They're really not supposed to be used inside of homes. It was inside of a mobile home. There's a mother, Tanya Fish, age 18, and her 17-year-old live-in boyfriend. Allegation against mom's boyfriend would generally be that he did something that was not an accident or anything like that caused those burns to the child.
He intended to hurt the baby.
Again, I don't want to get into specifics, but I will say we are not alleging it's an accident. I'll go that far.
Okay. Child abuse really runs a wide range of things. It could be a parent not providing something to their child, such as medical treatment. If the child needs medical treatment and the parent fails to get that for them. We've had children that have come very close to dying because the parent didn't seek medical attention for them. It could also be that the parent became frustrated with a child and inflicted an injury on them, such as hitting them with an object or even with their hand, fist, or shaking them. Shaken baby syndrome can cause a child to die, and if they don't die, they're brain injured and could be on life support. It could be a child being bitten by an animal of some type. It could be a child that needs dental work done. I've seen children that haven't been able to eat because their teeth need dental care. seen children be so severely beaten that there wasn't a place on their body that there wasn't a mark or a bruise. And these children can be infants. Younger children do seem to be more frequently abused because they have the most needs. They may be crying more or, wanting attention more, and the parent is unable to cope with that and strikes out against the child in some manner.
Another thing I see an awful lot of is sexual abuse of children. That's a pretty big problem here in Pike County as well, isn't it?
Yes, it most certainly is. And sexual abuse as well. During my time with the agency, I've seen every age group from infants to teenagers be sexually abused. And I know that's really hard to imagine, but it certainly does happen. And that too is a lifelong, has a lifelong effect on children. It's something that they carry with them throughout their childhood into adulthood and causes many issues with them having relationships, as they start dating and, become adults themselves.
Now, one of the best ways to protect yourself from becoming a victim of crime is education. Be sure to make yourself aware of services offered by local law enforcement and other organizations. Attend workshops and other special events, much like Partnership in the Park.
And this is a day for families to come together, bring your children, and just kind of have a day of remembrance, and also see that there is support in your community, and a day that all agencies can come together to service our victims of crime here in Pike County.
That's kind of what we strive to do here, is to explain to the victims that you are worth something, you can do it, and we're here to help you every step along the way.
Local law enforcement is doing its part to help meet the demands of keeping the public safe in today's climate. The constantly evolving 911 and dispatch center is one of those ways.
Now, if someone calls on 911 on a cell phone, within around 5 feet of that person, we can see where they're at. And of course, a home phone, it'll show us as well. So it's accurate enough to see which parking spot someone's sitting in. That's how accurate it is. So it's been really helpful.
The sheriff's office is cracking down on sexual offenders.
It's registering their risks, that is their second chance. There are no more chances. If they mess up that, I'm filing charges, no questions asked.
You can access the state sex offender registry right here from the sheriff's website at pikecosheriff.com, and there are other helpful sites around the internet to help keep you safe as well.
Actually, I can show you now how this works. The website is www.vinelink.com, and you go on and you click on offenders, and then you know how to spell their first and last name. You can look things up. Let's just be generic here and say John Smith. Actually, this pulled up a bunch of John Smiths, and to narrow it down, if you know their date of birth, it lists date of birth, it lists their age, and as you can see, if they're in jail, it says they're in custody and where they're at. If you're wanting to keep track of this person, what you would do is click on their name, and then you would register for notification, and you can do that by phone, email, or if you're hearing impaired, you can do the TTY, and let's just hit the phone. And what it'll do, it'll ask you to type in your phone number and then a 4-digit PIN. What Vine does is that it'll call this phone number that you give it until someone answers the phone and enters the PIN. And it will not stop calling you until someone answers, so that way you're notified, so there's no surprises. Okay. Something that all crime victims are entitled to as well is the Victims of Crime Compensation. And what this program can do is basically pick up the tab for out-of-pocket costs that that you occur because you're a crime victim. It'll pay for an attorney in certain circumstances for someone who may need an attorney to get a CPO. It will pay for medical bills if you don't have insurance, or it'll pay your copay, it'll pay for counseling fees, it'll pay for lost work. It's a very good program that needs to be utilized more within Pike County.
And while the internet is a great resource, don't forget that there are people right here in Pike County willing and waiting to help you. Great nonprofit organizations just like the Partnership Against Domestic Violence.
We do care about each and every victim, whatever crime it may be here in Pike County.
The Pike County Partnership Against Domestic Violence offers a variety of services to victims of domestic violence and sexual assault in Pike County. One of the important things to remember about the partnership is all of our services are free and confidential. We have a victims advocate that will walk you through the court process. We have an education coordinator who educates school students, teachers, businesses, attends different kinds of health fairs, and we also offer a veterans interventions program. It's basically a term of probation, and when you are charged with domestic violence, a lot of times you're ordered to take the veterans intervention program, and it's a 12-week program that kind of teaches you that it's not anyone's fault you hit them or scream at them. It's your choice that you make. There is a fee for that. That's one of the things that we do charge a fee for, because it's not victim-centered. It's on the other side. But that's part of the punishment, is to have to pay a fee and come to this class. We also offer Crossroads of Parenting and Divorce, and that's also another court-ordered program that is ordered through the Common Pleas Court for any parent in Pike County seeking a divorce. They have to complete some kind of class, and our Crossroads class meets that requirement. And it just teaches parents that divorce is tough enough on children. They shouldn't put their kids in the middle. Just give our agency a call if you're interested in any of our services, or you just need to talk to someone. We're here to help concerned family members and friends. We're available 24/7.